Well, I'm out cutting wood today because the ground is froze stiff enough where I can get back in spots I normally can't. And I thought I would mention a saw that I have that I've never shown. I actually have had this, the 372 XP. I've had that for over 6 months, I guess. But what I've been using it primarily for is for ripping planks. You know, the saw I use most of the time, and I think is a great saw, is my old 55 Rancher. Love that saw. The great thing about these, there's so many parts that are interchangeable with other models. You know, they made so many of them. Like I have that 51 that I use a lot too. It's basically the same saw with a different size piston in it. But I love that because you have a great availability of parts, and they're easy to work on. You know, I like those saws. But I thought, okay, I wanted to get something a little bigger, primarily, like I said, for the ripping. Like this is 50, probably 55 cc. And that's a 71 cc. And there isn't a big difference in weight either. I like, you know, like I said, I like this saw. And I normally run a 20-inch bar on it. Now this one came with a 24-inch bar, though I don't normally run that on there. Like when I'm ripping or even most of my work, I'm using a 20-inch bar. But the chains I can interchange between the two. And they use the same removable ring sprocket, you know, that sort of thing. Like I say, I've been real fond of this saw though. I've got a lot of years of use out of that. Got no complaints with that. Oh, it's been a good starter, and just been a good saw. But I pretty much like Husqvarnas. I stick with them because I've had good luck with them and I got a good dealer. And that's kind of what you go by. I'm not going to get into the Husqvarna steel nonsense. People get attitudes. But this is a good saw. Considered by many to be the best in that power to weight price range. You know, this is a great saw. There's a lot of features. One thing I really like I said, I've been using it mostly for ripping. What I like, if you have the guide on here for ripping, on a normal one, it's hard to get in there and adjust the chain. Now on these, they've got the screw out here that does it. So you just loosen these two nuts, and you can adjust it with a screwdriver from out here. So if that's in the way, you know, if your other guide thing is in the way, that doesn't bother. And another good thing about these, they have an inboard clutch. You know, like on the 55, when you're putting a chain on, you have to remove the clutch, you know, you have to get over it. But these, the sprocket is on the outside of the clutch, simply held in there with a snap ring. You can take a screwdriver, pop that off, you can switch that, get in there and lube that bearing. It's very easy to do. You know, on that one, it actually takes an impact to get the nut off, to get the clutch off, to be able to get into that bearing. So I like that, and I like, you know, they've got a gear drive on that screw to run this pin that runs that. That's a nice feature. Well, and another thing, to get at the spark plug and a rather large automotive type air filter, just pop these covers. So that's a little better than on the other ones. It takes a screwdriver to get at them. You know, all in all, really a very nice saw. You know, I did a lot of research before I bought this because I don't spend money wildly. And these are Between 800 and 1,000, kind of in that price range. Kind of depends on, a lot of them come with a 20-inch bar. This one came with a 24. But like I say, the interchangeability of parts between a lot of different models, and this whole chain tightening deal, you know, that is a great feature. You know, it saves having to dig around behind, and like I say, with the ripping device on there, it's really hard. But smooth running saw. The only complaints I've ever heard about them is people tend to flood them when they go to start them, because there you are dealing with the compression release. You know, so you're dropping the compression and then you're running full choke, so sometimes people have trouble with them. But once you get caught onto them, it's not a big deal. And I think I have heard of people breaking this choke knob off, though I don't know how. But I see they're commonly available. But like I say, a lot of the parts are available because of that bolt I used. But this is where you're getting into the pro line. So this is one that's made in Sweden. You know, I look at the cheaper Husqvarnas, and well, they turn out to be just orange Poolins. You know, supposedly they're made to Husqvarna's standards and their engineering. But, you know, I really wanted one that was made in Sweden, like my old one, where you're getting metal, you know, like that's aluminum. This is magnesium crankcases on this. Instead of some saws that come with plastic, I'd sooner have the metal in and a little bit more weight. But I've been happy with it. It's been a good saw. It really works good for that ripping because of that adjustment on the outside. But then I do run a 20-inch bar. I don't need this long bar. I seldom need 24 inches. Really, 20 is all I need. But I had some bigger stuff I wanted to do today, so I have the 20 on it, 24. But weight-wise, you know, it doesn't weigh that much more than my 55. But the 55 is a smaller looking saw, a little more, you know, I cut most of my wood with that 55 and the 51. So I run an 18-inch bar on the 51, which works better for limbing the small stuff. But if you need a big one, though actually if I'm knocking a tree down, I'm usually using the 55. Once it's on the ground, I'll use the big saw, but I really like this 55. To me, I consider that one of the best saws ever made. I really am fond of those. But in today's saws, this is the one. I did a lot of research on this. You know, this ranks right up there. Everybody who's had them has been happy with them. And that's hard to do. Now I can get back to cutting. But it is something to look at. You know, I've heard rumors that they maybe don't make this one anymore. They changed the number or something, but these are still available. But I think there's like an EPA deal, so you're making different saws. But that's a good saw. I'm glad I was able to find one. You know, but you can order them. There's dealers on eBay even that I actually could have got it a little bit cheaper, but they had the 20-inch bar, and I thought, well, I got 20-inch bars. I wanted to get a 24 for the few times that I need that extra. But power she's got. Back to work.